Hi, everyone. I have 4 p.m. Welcome to the Richland County Affordable Housing Ad Hoc Committee for December 9th. We do have a quorum, so I will call this meeting to order. Ms. Curlow.
Teratio,
Here.
Weaver,
Here.
Cooper,
Here.
Aline,
Here.
Mackey.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I also want to recognize Mr. Pugh.
Thank you for having me. I promise I won't try to vote.
Miss Little, and I believe Miss Newton is on the phone. Okay, great. So that'll bring us to item 2, the approval of minutes from October 21st, 2025. Those are on pages 5 and 6 of our agenda packet. Is there a motion regarding the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Teratio,
Yes?
Weaver,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Aline,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. That brings us to item 3, the adoption of our agenda. Looking to staff to see if there's any updates.
No changes recommended.
Thank you. Is there a motion from the body?
Move to approve. Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, we'll take the vote to adopt our agenda for today.
Teratio,
Yes?
Weaver,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Aline,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. That brings us to item 4, our items for discussion and action. 4A is Community Planning and Development, Columbia Housing Partnership with Richland County. That briefing is on page 7 and 8 of our document today. I will recognize staff. Ms. Williams, do you want to, or ACA Jensen? Okay, yes.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So if you remember, the Columbia Housing representatives came to a previous council meeting and discussed with you all about some of their upcoming plans, including the fact that they are working to reduce the number of single-family units that they own. They've identified 109 unoccupied single-family homes in unincorporated Richland County for potential renovation and resale. And several of the identified dwellings also have some code enforcement issues with the county currently. So community planning and development staff, along with the grants and community outreach staff, recently met with Columbia Housing to talk about ways that we could potentially collaborate on the rehabilitation and resale of some of those homes and do it in a way where the title doesn't come to the county, so we never actually own, but we kind of fund and help get those properties back out there for home ownership. Depending on how this agreement can be structured, the county would invest $1 to $3, $1 for each $1 to $3 of Columbia Housing assets funded. We have a model program that we could model this after. Currently, the grants and community outreach department is working on some home rehab using home funds that are tied back to HUD. So they're currently, through a previous approval from council, rehabilitating 3 homes that they're working with Columbia Housing to potentially resale. So if the committee chooses to allocate some of the affordable housing ad hoc funds, some or all of that, towards a rehab program, we would strongly recommend modeling after that similar program of working with Columbia Housing to supplement the rehabilitation, and then also working with them to make sure the homes are sold to people who meet income restrictions. If it's not tied to HUD funds, we can increase those income levels. HUD funds obviously are for low, moderate income, but if we use the affordable housing ad hoc money, then we can reach more potential individuals in the county because we won't have to tie those funds back to the HUD requirements as well. So right now, I know Grants Community Outreach, they're going through the list of 109 houses to identify the ones that they can address with their funding. If you all would like to allocate some affordable housing funding to that, then we would work with them to continue to go through that list to identify other additional houses that we could use funding for rehabilitation and resale.
This is really thank you. I will recognize the body if for any questions. Mr. Weaver?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a couple questions. So just in a hypothetical, if the county puts in 5,000, let's say they put in 5,000, does the county get their money back when the property is ultimately sold, or is that just a gift to try to encourage homeownership in that location?
Well, that's one of the things that we've talked about on the staff level, because if you would like to make it a gift, you could do that. But right now with the home funding, they do put deed restrictions in there, where if a home is sold within a certain amount of time, some or all of that money will come back. And so what we could also incorporate into this program is something very similar. So we could put a deed restriction on it for a certain amount of time. If the home is sold at a later amount, it could come back and then supplement, which then we could have recurring funds that could potentially support any other rehab. So that isn't worked out yet, but if that is something that you all are interested in, we could do the same deed restrictions to recoup some of that funding.
Okay, so not only does this committee need to decide on the formula, we need to decide when and if that money flows back to the county. Am I saying that correctly?
Well, we can bring, if you don't feel comfortable assigning that specific number and time frame today, what we can do, if you would like to use the ad hoc money, then I can come back to you after I look at how the home program is modeled with some recommendations of what that may look like and give you some options to consider as well.
Okay. My second question, Madam Chair, if I can. So out of the, I think you said roughly 109 houses, I think they have identified as vacant, something like that.
There are 109 unoccupied single-family homes that they've identified for renovation and resale. There's some additional homes that they've identified that is not, I don't have that number in my head
Okay.
right now. Those are the ones they recommend demolishing completely.
Okay, well, on the 109, has anyone done any kind of study, rough estimate on what each one is going to require? Is there an average? Do we know the amount of the renovations required to get them sold?
So when we talk with Columbia Housing, their average renovation cost, because they have done some, is averaging around $100,000. So for instance, if you did the full $2 million, then we're looking at probably just around 20 homes. But again, we would have to look at each house individually. Some may cost more, some may cost less for renovations. But that's the average that they gave us in our initial discussions.
Average of 100,000.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. I guess my final question would be, will we get to, I guess, in negotiation with this group, would we get to pick the numbers, the properties we want? Like if we wanted the ones that are less than 30,000 to renovate, if there is such a thing.
So the number costs, we'd have to talk to them more, but they do want us to tell them which houses we want.
Okay.
So, for instance, like I said, the grants group, they're going through to look at the 3 that they're going to rehab. We would do the same thing and say we would like these houses to be the first ones that we look at. And that is something we could have a part of that, say which ones out of these houses we're looking at have a higher estimated rehab cost versus a lower estimated rehab. So we can't ask them that question. I don't know if they have the number for all of them, but they do want us to say which houses we want.
I think that would be a critical part of this, that this committee and council as a whole would have input on which ones we take on and which ones we don't. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Saline.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is just, so the requested action today is just to approve the collaboration?
Yes, ma'am, that's the requested action. But if there are specifics, like the cost of the rehab as part of the houses we select or any other things, I'm willing to hear what else the committee may want us to bring back to them as we formulate or outline this full program for you all.
And one other question that I am understanding correctly. After the homes are rehabilitated and they're put up for purchase, there's a possibility of getting down payment assistance for 2 groups of purchasers. One where the assistance would be for those that are low income, sub 80% median household income, and then using the Affordable Ad Hoc Committee's funds for purchasers that are within the range of 80 and 120% median income household.
So right now, we're looking specifically just at the ad hoc money to do rehabs that can be resold to people who either meet those income restrictions. They could potentially qualify for down payment assistance through separate programs. So if they met the HUD requirements, they could qualify potentially through the county's current HUD-funded down payment assistance or the down payment assistance program you all recently approved. But they may choose to not apply through that down payment assistance. Right now, we're just saying if they're resold to an individual, if it's HUD fund that did the rehab, they would have to meet those income restrictions. But if it's ad hoc money that did the rehab, then they would not have as restrictive income restrictions on them.
Thank you. Yes, ACA Jensen.
Just to add to that, depending on how the program is structured, there may not need to be down payment assistance, because if the home price is reduced such that there's equity in the home already, then you don't need a down payment. So that's why we're hedging a little bit on that, because you may not need to assist them with down payment if the price is low enough.
Correct.
Ms. Cooper, did you have a question? Did I see you?
Ms. Mackey.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Mackey.
Yeah. It's, I guess, as far as the additional parameters as we look at developing, fully in support. I think it's a great partnership with Columbia Housing. I would like us to start out with some of the $2 million, not look at committing all of the $2 million right now. I think possibly look to see if there's additional partnerships with other organizations as well. But I would like to, at least right now, maybe start out with 20% of the $2 million. And if staff could, as we kind of get through that, maybe through the first quarter, kind of as we see what the spend looks like and get a better understanding, and if we have other opportunities for other future partnerships.
Yes, ma'am. That's a great idea. We've discussed how this could potentially leverage other resources, but I agree we want to see how this works first.
I know Ms. Newton has a question too, and so Ms. Cooper. Yes.
Oh, I've got a couple of questions, and one of which is just to follow up with Ms. Mackey. I'm totally in agreement of not expending the entire amount, but I think it would be helpful. 20% sounds decent, sounds right, but also I want to make sure that we are putting forth enough to allow staff to do what they need to do. So it would be a recommendation, if we could hear from you all, if there's an ideal amount, because I do think that if it's a match to match kind of thing, then I don't want the county to get too far ahead of the match and hinder the work that's being done. So I just wanted to state that. And then the other thing I'd like to state too is I really hope that this body would consider some type of program that was previously mentioned about revolving funds or recurring funds that comes back to us so that we can continue to do the work in affordable housing. And this is a way that will allow us to do that. So if there is some funds that can come back to this pot of money, I think it would be really helpful as we trudge forward to address this dire need. And then the last thing, question for you. I've heard you mention, of course, your team as well as the grants team, but do we know from the county side who's going to be responsible for the management of this program?
There is an option if we continue to partner with the grants and outreach where we could subsidize, do a cost share for staff to assist with that because they're technically only supposed to work with HUD funds. So that is something that we could look at, but then I'll also defer to ACA Jensen if there were other thoughts I'm not aware of.
Thank you. If I may, Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Yes, that's a great question. The HUD personnel are limited to HUD activities, and that is one of the reasons why Director Williams is shepherding this, is because she is funded with general funds, and so she can keep a program going even if HUD funds for some reason were to end, or the program ceased, or for whatever reason. So she is the continuity in this.
And so just to follow up with that, whereas I recognize and I think that what we're doing is great, but I want to make sure that we're not overextending the staff that we presently have to manage this program. And so I don't think that creating a new position is the answer. But I do think that if we could look at a cost shared outside of, yourself, Director Williams, as well as other team members and even from the grants office would be helpful. Because I'm a fan of, if we're spending our money, then we definitely need our team at the table regularly, managing and monitoring the process the whole way through. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Newton, thank you for your patience.
Thank you. 2 questions. The first is a process question. What I feel like I'm hearing is you're requesting this committee's approval to begin the partnership, understanding that all of the guidelines and parameters haven't been fully fleshed out yet. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. We still have to identify the houses we would like to use and come up with the policies and process that we plan to mirror after the current rehab program that the county has in the grants office.
And then once that happens, is the thought process that it would come back to this committee?
Yes, ma'am, I would prefer to bring it back to the committee. At that time, I may have even better, firmer numbers to say if the 20% that you originally are discussing how many houses that could potentially help if we get an idea from the Housing Authority of rehab costs for the houses we're looking at.
Perfect. That was my process question. And I should have started by saying that I really applaud staff for bringing this, and that affordable housing is something that it's going to take a lot of different approaches and a lot of creativity around, and I appreciate this. So I think that this program is a great idea. I do just have a question. I feel like in this committee, or perhaps it was in a Development and Services committee, at one point, staff had said, rehabilitating homes costs so much that often that's really not the best way to move forward to increase the supply of affordable housing. And so I'm just curious about what makes the dynamics of this case make that seem like a wise choice, whereas there were some other cases where the county didn't look as favorably upon it. And that's just from my understanding. It's not in opposition to this idea.
So I did not make that previous statement, so I really can't speak to those previous situations. I can say in this situation, what made it pretty much ideal for us is that when we met with Columbia Housing, they came to us and talked about they already had homes that they wanted to offload, and they really wanted to partner with Richland County, and that's what kind of started that discussion. Unfortunately, I wasn't involved in the previous discussions of how rehab is expensive, but even their numbers that they're giving, $100,000 potentially per house, it is rather expensive, and so we won't be able to do all 109, even if you put the whole $2 million towards it.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, may
Thank you.
I speak to that point very quickly?
Yes, Acia Jensen.
Thank you. I was the person who made that statement, and so I am more than happy to respond to it.
Thank you.
Very briefly, these homes are not currently occupied. And so when we put money into them and make them habitable, we are adding supply to the market. That's different than giving someone who's already in their home money to stay in it longer. Those are 2 different scenarios. And so that's the difference between my previous statement and what we are discussing today.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Further discussion? Yes, Ms. Mackey?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, we'll take the vote.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Aline,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody's interest and input on this one. That brings us to item 5.
Move to adjourn?
Second?
Okay, moved and seconded. We'll take the vote to adjourn.
Teratio,
Yes?
Weaver,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Aline,